My name is Kelly Brook, and I'm 43 years old. I don't have any kids from my second marriage. My husband is a kind man who never misses our monthly dates, no matter how busy he gets. He always keeps his promises. I know I shouldn't compare him to my first husband, but I've never regretted my divorce, and I've never regretted getting remarried. This month is our 8th wedding anniversary. My husband reserved a table at a fancy restaurant with a view of the sea. I thought we were going to have a wonderful time, but then I ran into the last person I wanted to see, Jeremy Clarkson, my ex-husband from 13 years ago. We were about to leave the restaurant after finishing our meal when my husband excused himself to go to the restroom. I was admiring the ocean view from the window, thinking about the beautiful moments my husband and I had spent looking at the sea together. Just then, I heard someone call my name. When I turned around, I saw Jeremy. "Hey, what's so beautiful? Do you think a regular ocean looks nice to someone like you, who's basically broke?" "Jeremy, long time no see. Why are you here?" "Why am I here? I should be asking you that," Jeremy said, sitting down in the chair my husband had been using, looking at me as if I was a joke. I put up with those eyes for a whole decade of our marriage. I never thought I'd run into you here. Can someone like you, who doesn't have much money, really eat at a fancy place like this? Can you even afford it? Or is this a once-in-a-lifetime thing? It's our wedding anniversary. Ah, I see. Poor people can only come to places like this on anniversaries, huh? I come here often, you know. You're still pathetic. Isn't there someone with you? Yeah, there is. I just sent her to pay. You know, handling money is a woman's job. I thought to myself that he was still the same, always belittling women. Then I saw her his lover from 13 years ago. She had aged quite a bit. Her beauty was half of what it used to be, and she looked worn out from life. I guess Jeremy has been living the good life while his wife suffers. You're still wearing shabby clothes, aren't you? Aren't you embarrassed to dress so poorly? Talking to such a terrible man like him makes me feel sick. I turned my eyes toward the restroom, hoping my husband would return soon, and there he was. He had been watching us for a while as I was talking to another man. Seeing the confusion on my face, he approached us. "Excuse me, do you need something from my wife?" "Your wife? This woman is your wife." "Yes, what do you need?" "You also look poor. I guess poor women always remarry poor men." "Please don't be rude. My husband is a very respectable man." Jeremy snorted in disapproval at my response. "Imph, you must be just a useless broke man then." He glared at my husband. I thought to myself, this man really hasn't changed at all. Jeremy was always very selfish. Although he worked for a big company, it was unclear if he was really good at his job. He was good at sucking up to his boss, though. He blamed his mistakes on his juniors and loudly claimed their achievements were because of his guidance. How he managed to climb the corporate ladder is beyond me, but by the time we divorced, he had become a manager. Jeremy always claimed he was an elite employee, but I never thought of him that way. I graduated from a prestigious university, Jeremy would always brag. Not just any university, but one of those special ones. When I was dating him, I believed his exaggerated stories and thought he was really smart. But when we got married, I discovered that was his only real talent. Plus, he constantly put me down, even though I only completed high school. "Your parents were too poor to send you to university, right? But it's good for you. You didn't have the brains for it anyway. If your family had been rich, you would have had to go to university, but it would have been impossible for someone as stupid as you." "My family wasn't poor. I just wanted to start working sooner rather than going to college." Ah, enough with the excuses. You can't stop making excuses, can you? You're an incompetent woman after all. But it's good for women, isn't it? Even if they're incompetent or stupid, as long as they have good looks, they can get by. If they catch a competent man, they can live well. I never thought he would say such things before we got married, so his change after marriage was shocking. Plus, his parents weren't wealthy landowners. His father was just a director, yet he still looked down on anyone he thought was poor. You really can't do anything right. You're bad at cooking, you can't clean, and you can't even have kids. Marrying you was a huge mistake, he would say. It wasn't a physical issue that stopped me from having kids. It was the stress caused by Jeremy. My family always valued being careful with money and appreciating what we had. But when I cooked with radish leaves to save money, he yelled, "Are you trying to feed me trash?" and threw them in the garbage. It made me realize just how different we were. One day, he told me he had a lover. The woman was much younger than he was. He pushed for a divorce, saying it was better for him to remarry a younger woman. I was glad to divorce such a man, so I signed the papers. "Who is this man, Kelly?" my husband asked. "He's my ex-husband, Jeremy Clarkson." "Oh, I see." I had already told my husband about everything Jeremy had said and done to me. It had been a painful 13 years, and I had shared it all with tears. My husband just listened quietly and finally said, "Let's be happy from now on." "You really dared to marry a woman like her? Since you're marrying someone from a poor family, you must be broke too," Jeremy sneered. "Well, maybe, maybe not." "Of course you are. So you're also a broke man, huh? Marrying a poor person means you're broke too, am I right? But why did you divorce such a wonderful person?" "Wonderful? Your eyes must be fooling you. Truly wonderful means having a beautiful wife like mine." He pointed to his wife, who stood there looking embarrassed. "Is that woman your wife?" "Yes, she's beautiful, isn't she? She's actually my boss's daughter." Marrying the boss's daughter definitely helps one climb the career ladder faster. Marrying a broke woman like you probably means you're just a regular employee. Too bad. "A regular employee? I haven't heard that in years," I said. "What are you trying to prove? A low-class guy marrying a low-class woman? It just means you'll both be broke for the rest of your lives. And you think you deserve to eat in a fancy restaurant like this?" "This level of restaurant isn't a problem for us," my husband calmly replied. "Yeah, sure, if that's what you think," Jeremy scoffed. Just then, a waiter passed by, and my husband pulled out a black card, instructing him to settle the bill. Jeremy was surprised by the card, but tried to hide it, snorting again. "Is that a black card? Showing off a card like that here? You're not used to it, are you? You must have borrowed it from someone." "Flashing the card around, but later you'll have to pay back the person who lent it to you, right? I bet you're scared to spend money in a place like this. It's all just an act." Funny thing to say. Who would lend their card, I wonder? No matter how naive someone is. "They wouldn't lend out a card like this," my husband replied. "How would you know that, Jeremy? You shouldn't say such insulting things," I added. "What's insulting? I'm just stating the truth. There's no way you could be wealthy if you married a poor woman like her." "My wife is poor, you say?" "Yes, that's right. Her family's place is a rundown, one-floor home. You know that, right? Or maybe you were too embarrassed to visit her home, so you went to a family restaurant instead." Meeting her parents at a family restaurant for a marriage proposal is unheard of, but for poor people like you, it's probably normal. "A family restaurant, huh? The fact that you thought of that means you must have done it yourself, right? If you hadn't experienced it, you wouldn't have thought of it." "What are you talking about? I'm not short on money. I wouldn't do something so cheap." "Yet you came up with it. I never would have thought of that," my husband said, then turned to me. "Right, Kelly? What about you?" "Well, I think I'd like to go to a family restaurant occasionally, but we rarely get the chance," I replied. "Exactly, you're lying. When you were with me, you were happy to go to family restaurants." "That's because I had never really been to one before." "Oh, I bet. You sure talk big now, coming to a fancy restaurant like this, acting all important." "Maybe that's you. It seems like you don't fit in this kind of place." "What? You think I don't fit in here? There's no way I'm out of place. You're the one who doesn't belong here. Do you even know who I am?" Why would I know you? If you want me to remember you, just become famous.